I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to introduce some people. But before I do, I gotta say, who wants to say hello. So I'm gonna let Christy Thomas come on over and introduce herself for a good reason.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Right. I am the Executive Director of Small Business and Entrepreneurship here at Dallas College. And I want to welcome you to Filter Free. So how many have been here before? Okay. I know you just. How many this is the first time? One? Great. Tell your friends. If you enjoy it, if you didn't enjoy it, okay. You tell them, there's a great meal. January is fantastic. Is she not fantastic?
Oh, that's
So we bring together subject matter experts, those SMEs that can give you education, knowledge, so you can take that back and apply it into your business. I offer you a place to connect, to talk, to meet one another, to collaborate, learn, eat, nourish your body, and come back again. So I want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you for being committed to your business. We love it. We have lots of different resources here for small businesses. And, you know, I'm sure at some point in time you'll get to tour DCBC, which is our co-working space. But until then, enjoy your evening, enjoy the fun. And without further ado, I'll turn it back over to you, January.
By the way, she's the money lady. She's the one that goes out. She has a lovely lady named Lisa. Get the grants that pay for these things. So let's give her another round of applause. You have a run, but I said, please stay just a little bit longer so you can say hello. So we know you gotta go, but thank you so much. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right. So now I'm gonna introduce our featured presenters of the evening. I'm hoping everybody on Zoom can hear me. I'll come and check in with you guys in just a little bit. You guys are perfectly in frame. So I'm gonna start off with Greg Johnson. I'm gonna read it back. It's got too many accolades for me to leave out something and he get mad at me. Okay. He is the president and chief branding officer of Stage Integrated Marketing. He's a marketing executive with 20+ years of broad experience helping connect brands with consumers who love them through sound insights and strategy. He has been associated with growing brand portfolios across several key categories, industries, and a wide range of consumer targets. I know y'all are going, what does all that mean? That means that he's worked for some pretty good people, some pretty good lifestyle brand organizations. Have you guys ever heard of Campbell Soup? Miller Coors? And those who that are not 21, just say no. Okay. Unilever and PepsiCo. And with these companies, he's led small, large and small businesses to grow through innovative strategies and tactics. This is Greg Johnson. Now we can't leave out, y'all give him a round of applause. Right, and then we've also got the VP of Creative Services, Steve Derman. Steve has helped fast-growing brands attract and keep ideal customers for over 20 years through visually appealing, full-service creative solutions. Steve's experience spans campaign development, branding, package design, visual storytelling, and more. Where his clients include La Quinta Inn & Suites, Motel 6, THU Energy, Cedarfield, MoneyGram, Sony PlayStation, DirecTV, Toyota, Best Buy, Winter Hotels, and Resorts, and on my breast, so that's enough, y'all get the point, all right? So let's get it up to Steve. You guys every now and then, you guys will see me hop in the middle, just to fix the Zoom, but it's all yours. Welcome, guys.
So thank you, January. So kudos to January first and foremost to that network. Great marketing tools to help you grow your business, network, obviously connect with target audiences. We'll talk a little bit about today, but ultimately we're gonna make money. So today we're just gonna have a little fun. We hope today will be informative, educational, but mostly, most of all, just engaging. So we want it to be interactive. So we want you to ask a lot of questions. So we're going to give personal examples. We're going to share, just painting and passion points. We're still small business owners, so we've been through pretty much anything that you guys, been through good, and bad. So we've had our doors open now for since 2010, so 13 years we just made it in January. So that's quite an accomplishment that we're proud of. So, yep, let's dive in. Let's have a little fun. So in terms of today, what we really want you guys to get just from an business standpoint, we're going to talk about how important is messaging, and marketing and branding. So there is a difference. We'll call out if you know the definition of each, give you an example. We really want to understand the target audience. So if you don't know who you're selling to, how can you reach them with the right message, deliver essentially at the right time? So we'll talk a little bit about the components of a good marketing strategy, and some tactics you can employ. Again, deliver them in this right message, right time, right channels. You'll learn what channels are. So and that's about it. So as well as measuring success. So we want you to do things, that hey, is it working or is it not? Do I need to optimize it? Do I need to tweak it? Tweak it, do I need to start it? Do I need to continue? So those are the type of things we want to talk about today. So without further ado, let's jump on in. So you know about us, but let's tell you a little bit about just Sage so we kind of understand what we do as an agency. So we're kind of a unique blend of marketing agency and staffing agency. So we partner with both small businesses as well as large businesses. So you may be in need of manpower or marketing department, and what we call strategic and graphic design capability for an advertising agency. So Steve will take you through and what that means in a moment, in terms of just the plethora of creative services we offer. So why do we exist? So this is first and foremost, as business owners, we want you to be filling a need. So what is your why? It's kind of what marketing starts with. So for our why, we know, that marketing organizations, pressure, do more with less, especially in the post-pandemic. So small business owners, like yourself, really looking for just branded, professional looking, clear, clean, concise, and tell stories that tell your story in a way that they can reach your audiences again with that right message, delivered at the right time, clear, concise, and they purpose and remain loyal to the product. So essentially think of us as kind of a one-stop shop for what we call marketing resource solutions. So again, we said marketing and staffing, those things can seem very disparate. How those things can fit together. So our house, is kind of that one-stop shop for marketing resource solutions, where those solutions come in the form of personnel or services we talk about here. So what do we do? So we specialize really in three things that address the total marketing mix. Any good marketer needs to plan a business, they need to execute the business, they need to manage the resource and staff. Simply a business and brand. So we've got three major segments in what we do. So brand strategy, I'm not going to get into that. We'll talk about that kind of brand story, later in the presentation. The resource placement, as just the fancy name for staffing, for graphic design, marketing, sales, resources, what we specialize in. So there's creative services. So we say creative services. If anybody know what that means? Making logos. Logos, good example. Flyers. That's how you apply it. Anything else? Great. Graphic design, visual art, all those types of things. So we'll talk about creative services. So how would you describe it?
I would describe creative services as storytelling. We'll get into a little bit my philosophy on graphic design and what I do as a creative director a little bit later. But yeah, storytelling is how it's summed up. Yep.
So let me pause you before you keep going. Every now and then I'll butt in, that's what I do. But I also want to make sure that you guys are okay. Everybody here is okay. All right, the slide, we have it there so you can see it. If you need us to read out something, let us know. And then is Greg going at a pace you guys can understand, because he gets passionate. All right, so if you need him to slow down, just say, hey, slow down a little bit, okay? They have two different styles. So we want to make sure that you catch it, because he's giving us some really good knowledge, all right? Turn it back over.
Yeah, so creative in a nutshell is anything that you visually bring to life. So Steve like to say, we can work. You print, flip, fold.
If you can fold it, mail it, swipe it, or click it, we can do it. And so that's kind of the catchy little way that we kind of explain what we mean when we say full service creative. Our team does everything from logo design, flyers, insurance ads, to full scale video production, and everything in between for traditional print media, digital media, and anything else.
So today we're really just want to leave with two things. We've already kind of told you about understanding your business target, messaging and that type of thing. But you'll see, there's some worksheets essentially that we on the table, so kind of as we go through it, we'll ask you to kind of fill out, just some questions, that relate to your own business, we'll, have a little Q&A and dialogue, and just, just kind of frame, who your audience is, what your strategy is, what your brand, really, means in the eyes of you, not only yourself, but also your customers and consumers you're trying to reach. So let's just talk about, just business development. So that's really, why we're all here. We want to say, but we're trying to get new prospects. Really at the end of the day, new marketing, sales, operations, and tax. So, and most of us, us included, so we started, in 2010, so all I had was over. That was it, PowerPoint presentation. So I hit the ground running, just selling. Didn't necessarily know who my audience was, didn't necessarily know what my story was. I was just leaning on me. The expertise that I brought to the table. Hopefully I knew, somebody who knew somebody else, who knew someone who needed my services. Just kind of in the way that we went out, but the good way, to essentially, do this is really start with marketing versus sales. So any good business development cycle begins and ends with marketing. So before you can really go out, you need to survey the market, you got to research the market question.
You just told my story. And that's why I think I'm here, because I want to know the difference between sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Because I've always made it like this. Is it proper to do it interchangeable, or is it separated? It's literally separated.
Well, let me ask you this question. They are separated, but they're also integrated. They work in conjunction, with one another. So let me grab this. This is a brochure. It's market material. It's also sales material. So this is everything that you need to know about Sage, so that my business development person can go out and essentially tell a story that I don't have to be in the room to tell. All I've got to do is come in and close with you. So are they integrated? Yes. And you work in tandem. So if you're in the face of the customer, if you come back and tell me what that customer needs, then I can frame it in a message that delivers, on that need. So is that kind of making sense?
Yeah, because gotcha. What's
Yep. So integrated but separate, but definitely, marketing comes first. But we essentially we design those materials to make it easier for a salesperson to tell that story that we want to tell, so that you spend less time in that sales, development, business development cycle, which you close that deal fast and more to make money. So we do. So that's pretty much it. So so we want you thinking there rather than going straight to how I'm going to make this product, how I'm going to package this product, racialize and commercialize, service, that type of thing. Really thinking about the research component first. Who was selling to first? So that you can frame, we're going to call this brand story. So you can talk to me about in that story and importance of it, from a messaging standpoint, and helping, you grow your business. Once we got that right, business took off. We struggled for 6 years until we finally got it and that messaging right. But now it's pretty easy to come in from a marketing standpoint and sell, who we want to sell to. We know exactly, what our story is, who we want to target, and we research what their needs are and how we add value, essentially to these companies and organizations when we serve. So now we can customize essentially our message and our services to meet the needs of those audiences.
So let me build on that just really, really quickly relative to what you just said a minute ago. I think sales and marketing are definitely integrated, but the upfront foundational fundamental work is marketing. It's building the foundation on which you can then launch sales efforts, because you know who you're talking to and you know what story you're telling.
So, tell us a little bit about your business. So, what's the name of your business and what product or service do you sell?
We are a nonprofit called It's About the Kids. We teach anger management, conflict resolution, we teach leadership development, and I use basketball as a group to create an environment where the kids can play and learn at the same time.
Very well. Thank you. So let's talk about marketing. Let's talk about branding. So are they the same? Are they different? So let's call on somebody. How would you define marketing? An example of marketing.
Email blast,
Email blast.
everybody that you know, or people that are relevant to the company.
That's a market communication vehicle. Anybody else?
Instagram post.
Instagram post. Would it be, flyers that were developed on, maybe particular software that you could put out in like places like schools and, absolutely, okay? All that. All of those are examples of marketing, what we call marketing mix elements, marketing communication materials. So, which come out of marketing, the process. Somebody talked to me about the process of marketing. What does marketing entail? Example of a marketing objective.
Putting together like different sales point or like different like the message like that you're gonna communicate on a personal flyer or something like that.
Yes, so there's a strategy behind it. So almost like a creative brief. So I'll define that in a little bit.
Your demographic.
Say it again.
Your demographic.
Demographic is target. Let me get to that. That's a great example of marketing. So anybody know what's another type of graphic that relates to targets? You got demographic, you got psychographic. What's a psychographic?
Essentially, those are the things that are more so internal, so it's how a person feels, so it might be.
Now we're getting somewhere. So now we're talking about, everybody talked about what we call functional, benefits and that type of thing. So, what's that for me? Now we're starting to talk about emotions, feelings. How do you want people to feel about your brand? What's your mood? What's your tonality? All these types of things are important in terms of laying your brand foundation. From a brand story standpoint, and from a business standpoint, we're gonna get into it in a minute. So let's talk about marketing. Let's light into a day. Let's light into a relationship. Marketing is like asking someone on a date. Branding is the reason that they say yes. So marketing is just me walking in a room. You know nothing about me. Because he seems to be a cool guy. He's colorful and such. Maybe I wouldn't mind if he comes up and speaks to me. But branding is essentially your personality. Branding is who you are at your core. A little bit different. So what's your inside? So from that standpoint, you want to kind of build your brand from the inside out. With marketing essentially as a component. So anything you want to add? So let's talk about marketing in terms of how we define it. So marketing is process. Marketing is anything that you do to incent what we call a target consumer purchase and ultimately remain loyal to your branded product or service. We say branded for a reason. So again, if I come in, I'm branded. Even if it's a store brand, still a brand, still HEB brand, still Walmart brand, still Kirkland, it's Costco. So it's a branded product or service. So, and it's a process, goal is to make you aware of it, to get you interested in it, to get you engaged in it, to get you to purchase it, and ultimately to get you to recommend it and become an advocate, for somebody else when you rinse and repeat. That's the marketing cycle. So, and this is really a big component. So it's first, you high level stuff, just say, hey, for your business, just want to make folks know who you are, first and foremost. Now, if you send that first email, then what do you do then? Okay, let's send a follow-up. Now let me educate them a little bit more about what's going on. Let me have them consider it. So now they like my personality. Now they like my personality, they go on that date. Then you got to purchase. Once they purchase, that's called trial. Now you want repeat. How can I get them to buy again? Become an advocate and a brand ambassador. Now I'm not worried about it. Which is working with their marketing materials or communication vehicle as well. So these are the types of things we're talking about. We're talking about the differences between marketing, essentially and branding. So let's talk about branding a little bit more. So, like we said, it's the core essence, essentially, of your personality. You've got two main components. Here you kind of see all this type of stuff. So, you want to talk a little bit about it, Steve?
Yeah. So there's two elements to the brand. There's a lot of people often think when they approach us to develop their brand, they think that we're going to design them all. That's their brand. That's a really, really small part of the brand, and it's actually not even the first part of it. I'm going to ask somebody a question. I'm just going to put a question out there and somebody answer. What is Tesla's brand? Tesla is our company. Not the logo. What is their brand? Describe Tesla's brand to me.
Information.
I was gonna say,
Innovation. Innovation, what I heard, information technology. What else?
technological advance.
Technological advancement. So did Tesla tell you we're innovative? Did they have a commercial that says Tesla, we're innovative? Or Tesla, we have, cutting edge information technology. So how do you know, I don't disagree with you, I think you're right. How do you know though, from your perspective, that that is Tesla?
Instead of specializing network cars and they all communicate with each other and now all goes into the database, which then Tesla uses to improve the revenues of cars and their automation.
So you're aware that, oh,
I love all things Tesla, because
you were just having a moment.
no, I was having a moment, but I was saying, how do I know that? It's the way they make you feel.
Correct.
It's the way it comes across in all their ads. Cars are all sleek, where they feel the advertising. They advertise, it's a feeling that I get when I see something that says Tesla or that's about Tesla.
Kind of remind me of that old Pacer. You know, that old Pacer car we had, we knew that Pacer. So it always-
Certain things.
So, I'm so glad you're talking about branding, because I come back from the eighties and nineties where I was in the advertising business. And we were all about marketing. So can you talk about where the whole understanding from the nineties to 2000, where brand became important? The reason why I say that is because as an advertiser, what my clients would do, small business clients would do, is say, hey, I got an Easter ad, I got an Easter sale.
Yeah.
So we would create a marketing campaign that was an Easter sale, which looked completely different than their Christmas campaign, right? They had the same logo, but it was completely different message, completely different everything, because we didn't understand branding. So can you kind of talk about the evolution of why branding became important?
Around that time, marketers started, so before around 2000, starting back in the 60s, the Mad movies, all of the advertising was about product and benefits. And intuitively, I think a lot of those creatives knew that they had to speak to a deeper need in the consumer. But they didn't, it wasn't formulated as a part of marketing. It was really just, we need to convince people with really cool creative, a good commercial or a really good ad to consider going to the store and buying this. Around that time, around 2000, we started getting a greater understanding from a behavioral economics standpoint of how people make decisions. There were a lot of advancements in the understanding of human decision making, and what became clear through a lot of research is that people are emotional decision makers.
Yeah.
We're not logical or rational decision makers a lot of the time. Now, there's times when we want to consider the cost, or we do a cost benefit analysis on a product before we buy it, like a big expenditure. But by and large, we have to make so many decisions every single day. There's not literally enough calories in your body to calculate the cost benefit analysis on which dinner am I going to take, or which outfit am I going to wear today. We make so many of our decisions based on feelings and intuition and emotions. And so where that comes into branding, what we call branding now, it's owning the story. It's being Tesla and owning the fact that we want people to think a certain way about our brand. Or being Sage and owning the fact that we want people to feel a certain way about our brand. Because if we can get people to feel something, then we can get them to do something. And so really, when we get into the brand story, that's the first thing we do in brand. And it's the next slide on my So the brand story is a verbal narrative that describes what the company offers to consumers in the form of rational and emotional benefits and blah, 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 strategic framework of it. Greg talked about. But at the end of the day, we really want to talk to the client that we are branding. What is it that you want people to feel about? Right? It goes back to the dating analogy, right? To get somebody to go out on a first date, in the analogy that Greg was using, you want them to feel comfortable. I need to speak about it.
Yep,
People on Zoom are like,
sorry.
this thing right here.
They can see you, they just, they can hear you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, these slides, you upload it, you have a copy, or anything you need. Okay, the presentation is good.
Yep. So where was I? Emotion. So we really want to understand the emotional goals of the target audience. And so this may be something that you guys have thought through as you're putting together the communications around your individual brands, but really understanding the goals that your consumers have as it pertains to the service or the product that you provide. Not just like, what are their goals? My goal is to have, at this restaurant, I want to have a good meal. But there's always a higher level of a goal. The example that I like to use is for a weight loss brand, right? Their consumers I want to lose 20 pounds. That's my goal. But there's always a higher level goal. Why do you want to lose 20 pounds? Well, let's uncover that. My 20-year high school reunion is next month, and I want to look good, and I want to make my ex-boyfriend regret what he did or whatever. Like, there's always a higher level goal that we want to try to uncover, because if we can do that, if we can build the brand around that story, then we know that it's going to be a powerful brand.
Question.
Yes.
Now you bring to me, when you branding, because I see a lot of this on TV.
Mhm.
When the story comes out, are we to believe some of these stories? When the tears come out, you get a better brand. You don't bring the tears out. How does that work? What I've noticed about all reality shows and everything they said, they think, well, my kid, it doesn't really make me really get involved in what I want to do. Is that how you feel that brand off of sympathy or some kind of emotion that they're using off of? That's how I'm asking.
So the question for the people on Zoom is, are we trying to evoke sympathy or tears or some type of strong emotion when we're branding? Not always. If I'm branding a tech company, I'm probably not trying to make their customers feel compassionate. I'm probably trying to make them feel empowered, or I'm trying to make them feel competent, right? So the feelings that we're uncovering are not always emotional reactions. Sometimes it's a different kind of, less physical emotion, like crying or laughter. Sometimes it's other emotions that are just pertinent to somebody's day-to-day life. I want to feel like you made my life easier. I want to feel like I have more time on my hands. I want to feel relaxed, right? These are different types of feelings for different types of brands. There was a question over here.
Yes. So the brand story could then be equivalent to your business pitch.
It's a component. It's a component. Yeah, I think the brand story would inform the business pitch. So we would uncover kind of the brand story, which may be written kind of in prose. It may not even be in kind of sales or marketing speak, but we would build off of that the communications that would be customer or client facing.
Why do I need a story?
Because we are humans who live stories. It makes it relatable. We all have our own story, and the story of your day today is your story. And so we relate to brands. Brands become relatable when they have a story. Otherwise, it's just a commodity, that I'm assessing based on the specifications of the product or the description of the service. But if the brand has a story, everybody likes to think of Apple as a brand that has a really kind of good cult following that evolved into this huge corporation. Apple's brand was really built on the back of this idea of thinking different, right? You remember their ad campaign from the 90s was Think Different, I think even into the 2000s. That was their story. Their story was, in everything we do, we think different. That's Apple's brand. And so coming out of that, Greg, you want to? Okay.
I was about to, no,
Yeah.
keep going.
So the next layer of their story is, so because we think differently, we want to make product, and this isn't my story, by the way. Some of you may have seen Simon Sinek break this down. If you haven't, you should look at it on YouTube because he does it way better than I could. But in everything we do, we think differently. We make technology products that are simple, easy to use, and user-friendly. So that's the next layer of their story. And then the final layer of their story is we make phones, we make computers, we make music players. Most people are tempted to tell that story backwards. So all of you, when you were starting your brand, your story probably started, I make laptops. And I make laptops that are easy to use, user-friendly, and intuitive. And then you stop.
Somebody. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing because it was, everybody was talking about HEB came to town.
Yeah.
I was about HEB. I had never been, which the HEB I had to find out what's paying for, here everything's better.
Yep.
So mine, and I went in there, I found out when exciting.
Everything better.
Everything's there. HEB. So I'll wrap up this slide with this final thought regarding branding. Every brand has a story. We know what we feel about Tesla, and they don't have to tell us. You knew what you heard about HEB, and HEB wasn't telling you that. And so what makes branding so important and why we're so passionate about it is because if we don't do the job for you guys or for our clients, or if you don't do the job for yourself, the market is going to do the job. Your brand exists. All your brand is how your consumers feel about your product or your service. So you're either going to lead that charge and tell that story, or the market is going to tell it. And so what's so important about branding for us is you understand the most compelling way to tell that story that attracts the most valuable customers to your company.
Thank you. So what else? I'll say a couple of things about the slide. There's a lot of fancy big words on here, which I'm about to just break down so that you got to understand what we're talking about. But the point that we want you to get here is probably twofold. One, I mean, any action or behavior, 90% of personal behavior is driven by emotion. So again, we're evoking, we're inspiring action. Essentially what we're doing, we're creating, these stories, but we want to do it in a way that is unique and ownable to each of your businesses. It protects you, insulates you from the competition, and gives people a reason to believe and purchase, your product. It gives it meaning. So we don't develop a website without a brand story. I'm not putting together your brochure without a brand story. I'm not designing your logo without a story that informs, essentially, the mood and the feeling that you want to, evoke. And these are just components, essentially that kind of build, your brand story. So we're talking about, y'all kind of ask, is it my elevator pitch? That's what we call the customer value proposition or the unique selling proposition. So what is it that differentiates you, and makes you unique? Can you tell somebody in 30 to 60 seconds, what your brand stands for? Sage can, but it took us a while essentially to get there. So, and some businesses, depending on where you are, some of you may have it, some of you may not. But if you need help, create it, pick up the phone, we'll be more than happy to give you that type of, consultation. Some of you have, brands and services. I mean, when you got like product lines, I think there was a tea company in here. No tea owners. What's the name of your business and what do you sell?
One of them is called Brothers Tea. So it's an iced tea company, specializes in flavored iced teas. Strawberries, cream, peppermint, sweet tea, and then orange.
So for brands like that, that's when you've got, stuff that we call like brand architecture, like building a house. A house, you got different rooms, but you want those rooms to fit together, look like it's long, under one house. So he's got, a lot of energy teams. Okay, that's one segment. He's got a lot of hydration teams, but that's another. Got one that's health, that's another. But so and we may have different colors, words, that type of thing. But we're gonna build it, in a way where it makes it look like it belongs, essentially to the same family, but with the twist of differentiation, if that makes sense. So these are why these things are important. It informs, your packaging, it informs your market strategy, your distribution strategy, your channel strategy, how you message everything across all elements essentially of your marketing mix. So, yeah.
Do you find that with your clients, let's see, okay, so I guess as I'm hearing you, which is great, by the way, this is really great. I'm trying to figure out how does a person get to understanding what their brand story is? Because I don't know if everybody's journey is the same. I kind of stumbled into owning my own business, selling pies during the pandemic. and people started buying them. And when it grew and people began to ask me, okay, who's your target market? I was like, and I don't, in trying to figure out, okay, well, what's my story? Well, the story was trying to feed my family. And if I try to go from here to there, like, do you find that your clients, you have to help them figure out what their story is, or
That's why we
create it for them?
a little of both. I mean, so we have clients who already, larger corporations we work with who have marketing departments already. We have, stores. So that kind of informs what we call like the creative brief, or just a sign sheet, just a directional guide that I can turn over to a designer and say, oh, here's the important things I need to know from an insight standpoint about this audience. And so then from that, we can design creative, that's what we call on brand. So, but smaller business owners, so that's why we said, the manpower marketing department. So when you hire Sage, you get a de facto marketing department. We're working on a fractional basis where we come in and give you that expertise. That doesn't, lie, in-house. So, let's say, you hire us and I assign myself, I'm the brand strategist. Guys, all this stuff over here in terms of brand positioning and narratives and stories, and that's gonna be something that me and my team of strategists, are gonna help, write and form, and we're turning it over to a team of creators who can help bring that, to life. They can articulate it, in a way that copywriters and things that nature who can do, all of that. So sometimes, you need help. Even we, as a marketing company, needed some help because we're too close to the business. We live it and breathe it every day. So, it took me a year to figure out how to essentially, really bring, again, that staffing company and, the marketing company under one umbrella. But it took, I'd say the best thing is surveys, asking people, brainstorming with people who they know about your industry and things of that nature, but aren't as close, to the business where they can think. And so that's all we do. We this discovery session, creative brainstorms, that's what we would do. For each of you, we would ask you a series of questions that can tease that out. So if you know the right questions to ask, you can get, to a narrative, or a story that can inform in the direction you would take.
Yeah, oftentimes for small businesses, it most frequently looks like some sort of branding workshop where they come in to our studio or we go to them and we conduct, depending on the scale of the brand, we conduct a couple hours to a full day, sometimes 2 days of workshop to understand and unpack the full brand, all of these elements. And then we kind of just go back to the lab and distill it into the essence of the brand story and all of the other elements of the brand story.
So any questions from our Zoom attendees?
Yeah, come close to you.
Any questions from our Zoom attendees? We'll keep going. All right, let's go to the good stuff. Let's go to you.
I usually, when I'm introducing myself in a meeting like this with Greg, he's usually dressed like this and I'm usually dressed like that. I'm the creative director, so I get to wear sneakers to the meeting, but I gave him. Yeah. Visual brand identity, this is what my team does as a part of a branding assignment after the brand narrative, and we understand what the value proposition is, we understand who the audience is, and we understand kind of the characteristics and the description of what the brand is and what's important, the feelings that it needs to evoke. So this is the part that a lot of people think is branding. They think designing the logo and the colors and the typography, that's a brand. It's really the fun part of it for me personally and for my team, I know. But this is an example of a brand we did, a year and a half ago? A year and a half ago. So this is a company that you can see provides solutions for mission-focused organizations. They're, I won't go too far into what they do because it's pretty complicated and very technical, but a lot of people look at a brand like this and they see this marketing design, which I don't know how well it translates to you guys on this projector, but the name is Ready 3, and in the 3, it's an R and a 3 together, right? So it's kind of, yeah, once you see it, you can't unsee it. But the white part of it is the R, and then together it makes a 3. It looks simple and clean. It's really, really nice. It's well constructed. It's really from a technical graphic design standpoint, it's very well done. It probably took us 6 weeks to design that logo, and it obviously doesn't look like it took 6 weeks to design that logo. But the simplest solutions take the most work to get it refined to.
Yeah, and these guys, I mean, you know, selling to the Department of Defense, you know, former Marines and, you know, selling aerospace and these type stuff. I mean, so you could even just components of the logo, you can see how it's, you know, forward moving and at a diagonal, and just different accents and highlights, I mean, to, you know, what we call, I mean, this visual brand identity. I'm gonna go back a slide to see. Go ahead, explain all this.
When you guys get the downloadable version of the presentation, you can take a look at this. This is maybe, I don't know, 1/4 of a brand style guide. And I don't know how many people have seen a brand style guide or a brand guide. Okay, not very many people, 2 or 3. So we always create for our clients, whether it's just a visual identity. So for Trackwing, we did a very brief brand narrative and brand story exercise. All they really needed was a visual identity to start launching their brand, but they left with a brand story and a visual identity. What we build a style guide for is a number of reasons. Number one is to define the visual identity. So what is the logo? How are we constructed? What are the rules for its use? We are very strict about how we instruct our clients on how to use their logo, because we know as marketers, consistency is key. And you want all of your materials to look like they're coming from the same place. You don't want this designer over here at the t-shirt shop to design one thing, and this guy who's doing your brochures to design something else, and they look like they're coming from 2 different brands, right? So we define pretty strict rules around the usage of the logo, the usage of the colors. I don't think this slide is on here for the brand guide, but we always give our clients, like, here's the color balance. Your colors for Trackwing, it's like a really nice gray, a nice red, and a yellow. But what is the primary color? What are the secondary colors? How do you combine them? Are there combinations that are not allowed? Are there combinations that are preferred? We define all of that stuff in the visual identity so that the communications all look consistent and high quality. And then there's typography, and then there's other graphical elements. You know, brands have more than just their logo. They have patterns, and they have brand in motion. What does it look like at the beginning of your YouTube pre-roll ad when we animate the logo? That's all stuff that we consider in a visual identity design.
All of that stuff, I mean, it's important because, I mean, we don't like to, you know, design just the logo, because when you really design a logo, they're coming back to it or sooner. You know, they say, well, now I need this, now I need that. Well, wait a minute, if we started over and did it up in the right way in the first place, we could have saved you time and money, you know, and we designed it once, and we're done, you know. But the other reason is because we don't want for, you know, vendors to go out here and dilute, you know, your brand, you know, and the image, you know, of your brand. So we can create, you know, some of these things, but it doesn't mean that we print it. You know, so here's Bill J. Priest. They've got, you know, something that they did. You got your signage. You know, you may have something on a building. You may have trade show material. You know, different vendors print it. We want, you know, for you to be able to give them a guide when they see it. They know what to do with it. You know, and it's on brand. It's not going to look, you know, consistent. You know, what we call integrated across everywhere. Meaning your logo and your brand visually appears. So yeah.
So you do animation by making things.
We got that on that brand in motion. There it is.
So go back into the part that you said that I really want to make sure we all hear, is the vendor diluting the brand.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I want you guys to expand on that is, how does the vendor dilute your brand? And how does the vendor use you to dilute your brand? And I'm gonna go with an example. So just like you said earlier, Steve, is I need a t-shirt. Right, and all I know as a small business owner is that I want a cool looking t-shirt. So I go to the vendor, and the vendor designs a cool looking t-shirt, and I like that t-shirt. Then I need a magazine ad. So I go to a completely different vendor, and they give me a cool looking magazine ad. And I like that, and so I go, yeah, let's go with that. So can you talk about the integration and why the rules are so important?
Well, the rules are important so that doesn't happen, right? So the rules in a brand guide are going to be specific enough that Your t-shirt vendor is gonna say, hey, give me your logo and I'll design you a cool t-shirt. You're gonna give them brand guide and the logo. And they're gonna see in the brand guide, here's the rules on how you apply this brand. And now take those rules and use it on a t-shirt.
I'll embellish on that, just make it prescriptive and plain. You print on a t-shirt, it's gonna, tell you, hey, here's what it needs to look like in color, here's what it needs to look like in black and white, here's what it needs to look like in 4-color, here's what it needs to look like in 6-color, here's what it looks like on a dark background. All of that, I mean, so, in terms of what I'm sorry. In terms of what we're saying, so, question.
I just want to know, at what point do we trademark, our product, our brand? Can we, trademark it in the beginning, or do we wait till we build the brand, then trademark it? Or can you guys help us trademark?
Ask your lawyer about that. We don't provide trademark services. I will say any original creative that you use first is automatically covered by copyright law. If you and trademark with the TM, if you want to have a registered trademark with a circle R, that requires application for a registered trademark. That's outside of my specific skill set. Generally, clients who are concerned with that already have a legal person on retainer or somebody in-house who handles that on their own. But you said one thing that I don't want to skip this point. It's a little bit of a rabbit trail, but I'll be brief with it. You said the t-shirt designer showed me a design that I liked, and so I said cool. And then the ad designer designed me an ad that I liked, and I said cool. One thing we always tell clients at the beginning of this part of the brand visual identity is you are not your target audience most of the time.
Right.
And so we're designing your brand for your target audience. It needs to resonate with them. And it's hard for clients to sometimes really accept this, but we want our clients to love the logo that we design for them, but they don't have to. What they need to trust is we know how to communicate and evoke the right types of feelings in graphic design to your target audience. That's our expertise. So we really want you to love your logo, but if there's aspects of it that you don't like, you're gonna need to be okay with that, or we'll just have a frank conversation about if we change that, here's what you're gonna sacrifice in terms of the impact it's gonna have on your target audience.
Excellent segue. Let's talk target audience. So that's the second most, important thing. So we intentionally spent, more time on this section because the brand foundation is everything. Essentially it sets up again the foundation for how you apply your logo and your story to all elements of your marketing and branding. So, all right, got a couple of different types of things. We talked about who was that talked about demographics and psychographics. That was you. All right, demographics. Give me an example of a demographic.
Old people, young people.
Old people, young people, love it. Age, that's one. What's another demographic? I see some others. There we go. Gender, ethnicity, so religion, all those sorts of things. Classification, income, employment status, or what we call demographics. So that just kind of allows you to classify and segment our audience. Those things aren't the things that are most important. They help you identify at least one portion of who you want to target. I'm selling relaxers. I know it's African American people, so we can say that. But how do I get them to buy it versus somebody else? I think psychographics come in. These are things that are behaviors. We're talking lifestyle. We're talking interests. We're talking attitudes, motivations, behaviors. This is when you go to Facebook, you can drill down by interests. So if you want to run a social media campaign that's on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, that's how they do it. So it's not, you got demographic, so you got job title, that type of stuff. If you want to go to that next, layer and that type of thing, and make sure that the dollars are more effective, you're not wasting money. Psychographic or behavioral segmentation. So, we'll talk about this.
We can talk briefly about the persona. So this is when we get into bigger clients that have like a really solid understanding of their audience demographics and psychographics. What we'll often do is put those into personas that allow them to understand the types of buyers that they're talking to. They may have more than one type of person in their audience. And without getting into too much detail, I'll just say this is important. You can see on the screen some of the stuff that's here. This gets into their attitudes towards the category, their attitudes, what they think about the brand, some of the struggles they've had with the particular brand. What it allows us to do as a creative team is craft stories, craft communication tactics that address those aspects of that individual. And when we get into the marketing, the actual media buy, we're often able to target individual personas. So you'll see at the top, it says parent 3. That's 3 out of 5 different archetypes that we have for this client that allow us to segment our creative or version our creative. So when we're sending, let's say, for example, we send a piece of mail out and we blanket, 100,000 mailers go in a specific geographic area, but we'll be able to know that these people are parent 1, these people are parent 2, these people are parent 3. So their mailers will be communicated just a little bit differently to address their individual demographic and psychographic profile. And so these personas come in really, really handy for the creative team and the the marketing strategy team as they're putting together those plans.
So don't want to spend too much time on that slide at high level. But essentially, if you were to come to us and really help us, if we helped you segment your target audience, we would help you build a customer profile. Essentially, is what this is by giving them personas. And so let's say, you got moms, you might have mom in her role as a social worker, mom in her role as a nurturer or caregiver, mom in her role as just herself. Those are 3 different moves. So, and you talk to them in a personalized way. So we just build that out simply for you. That informs the marketing strategy. There's 2 things that inform the marketing strategy. All of them come out of your brand foundation. So no good strategy can come. You don't have a vision, a mission, clear market objective. The target audience are made defined. The story in terms of where you want to go. So you want to choose growth strategy, you ladder up your business market objective, like you said. It's important marketing channels. What's a marketing channel? Does anybody know what a marketing channel is? So website is a marketing channel. Let's say T, what's your marketing channel? I would say definitely YouTube, definitely TikTok. Those are distribution channels in terms of marketing, what we call communication. But there's also delivery channel, that type of thing. So if I'm selling that T, grocery store is a channel, large format stores, you got small format stores like C stores, e-commerce is a channel. So how do you get your product to market? So now when we're talking about channels, we're talking about where. Not only your communication, but where you can pick it, up if it's a product, if it's a service, where can you get it? Online, I say on LinkedIn, so those are where the social media channels and that type of thing come in. So I just want to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about. We're talking about channels, talking about distribution channels. So here again, to see, kind of what a good strategic foundation or house would look like. I just kind of told you, here's what it is. You got your brand vision, you got, some things that inform, you kind of the fluff, but then you got your market objective. You see it. What's the first one? It's always awareness. What's the second one? It's about engagement. It's interesting consideration. The third one, it's always going to be a trial. And after that, it's adoption and advocacy. So everything you look, from here is all about laddering up those 3 core marketing objectives. So in this one, we want to position this brand as an influencer. We want to produce quality content. We want to publish it across a variety, of marketing channels, crowdfunding, things of that nature, all that type of stuff. If you look at it, when you broke them down, the tactics that you see, they all ladder up, essentially these marketing objectives.
So I'm gonna go back to the question that Alicia and my gentleman over here just asked. Like, when do I do that? So I just started my business, like Alicia said, and the only thing I'm trying to do is get the pies out of there.
It depends on the business. So, in this case, this business owner wanted to come out, and wanted us, to develop, a video marketing campaign and some other things, that, would inform, essentially, how she would go to market. But we said, hey, before you do that, let's build you a brand foundation and a marketing strategy that can help guide you. So before we knew it, we had an umbrella that allowed her, to have 3 different things, that she really wanted to do. There was an inspirational component to what she wanted to do. That was her with an influencer and a seller of her books. That was more of a holistic, wellness, component, to it as well. Had she not done that, she would have wasted, essentially a number of those dollars. So those dollars are better served up front, giving her a strategic framework and foundation, whereas other business, you may already have, luckily, an audience and that type of thing, and you already doing $1 million, that type of thing. I mean, so from that standpoint, you might be able to get away without as much of one, but eventually you don't need a social media strategy, digital strategy, but none of those things are gonna be effective, if they don't ladder up to some core objective. And when you do it this way, it makes sure that, again, here's the word, it's in the name, integrate. You want all of your things working together, driving toward a more holistic goal, if that makes sense. That's gonna make it productive, effective, and efficient. So let's talk about what you really need to know now. When we're done, we'll get you out of here. Let's talk about the marketing components themselves. So what types of marketing vehicles can you use when you're reaching, your audience? Now that you know who your audience is, what do you want to do? So how do you make them aware? So awareness, Steve, give us an example of awareness vehicles.
Let them give us, what's the example do you guys think of an awareness vehicle? Just brand awareness, making people know, put yourself on the radar.
So I mean, everything everybody said, whether that's a brochure, whether you use YouTube channel, whatever you get kind of makes people know who you are.
So top of funnel awareness, yeah, it's kind of the first impression. It's the first time somebody encounters your brand. And the channels we tend to use are going to be casting a wide net, right? So things like TV spots are the classic top of funnel awareness. But yes.
Would an influencer do that, like an influencer, like a food blogger, kind of influencer, would that be your people to go plan out them? Because I've seen that work with the restaurant and people came from everywhere.
Yeah, that could absolutely be top of funnel awareness by tapping into their very engaged audience to put your brand on the radar of people who never heard of you before. Yep. Yeah. TV, anything like billboards, anything that's really, really casting a wide net, radio ads, casting a wide net at the top.
So what if I feel like I don't have the money for it? And I just start out with like dropping by offices and passing out my case samples and stuff like that. Love it. So love it. So, but again, because the way I answer that question is twofold. Awareness vehicle can be expensive because again, like Steve said, you're casting a wide net. So you're not really targeting, with this, awareness. Most small business owners have to go, top of funnel and middle funnel at the same time. So you're making somebody aware, but you're giving them what we like to, so we call it surprise in the life. So it's gift boxes, it's pins, it's something memorable to make them, want to, engage, with your brand, and your business. So it's an excellent, strategy. So I didn't want to go to middle funnel. Let's talk about it. So middle funnel, this is when you want to build that interest and that relationship, especially if you got a service-oriented business, product a little bit different, and that type of thing. But for you, this is where it's at. And so this is where the rubber meets the road, essentially. So there's two, primary ways to engage. With this audience. Usually here, it's either feet on the screen or it's social. So you got to go to where people are. They on their phone. So it's going to be display ads. It's going to be your website. If you don't have a website, you got a social media page. But if you do have a website, that type of thing, you want to go social, there's two different types. You got what we call content posts, and you got platform ads. So does anybody know what those are? What the difference is as it relates to those types of things, what the content ad is?
Question about that? When your brand is about.
Not bad. You're getting close, getting warm. So essentially, it's essentially it's paid. It's paid for. Essentially, is what the content posts, are, and then you've got platform ads, which essentially mean Google, and that type of thing that you can do. So, wish we had a couple of examples that we can show you, but we can keep moving into the time. So, what we want you to do when we start thinking about middle funnel marketing is really just on that question there, right there. We want you to go back and do your homework and ask yourself, some of these questions. So, do you have a page? What's your posting strategy? Do you have a budget to boost your post so that you can reach a broader audience, a more engaged audience? You have a list, or a guide. There's some resources at the end of that thing to talk to you about that. You need directives and that type of stuff. You sell your business. Different type of stuff. Podcasts. Are great. Podcast room right here. Each of them can use. That's what I'm selling in January. So that, you know, you can do what you need, you know, at a fraction of the cost, I'm gonna go rent out, you know, a huge studio. But what that is it makes your content shareable. And so now, somebody else is doing, anytime you share a post, that type of thing, you know, now it's just spreading virally organically, and that's what you want, you know, in terms of growing your business, you know, with on a limited budget.
I'm really curious, has anybody here ever boosted a post or bought an ad on Meta, Facebook, or Instagram?
I didn't know if it worked, you know, I tried.
Didn't know if it worked?
Yeah,
Did it work for you? So what was the results you saw? So it was an awareness play for you because you were getting more people on more people's radar. Yeah. I think for small business owners, that's the lowest hanging fruit for the reason that Greg mentioned, he alluded to just a minute ago. You want to, this is the engagement tier of the funnel. The point is to engage people with content relative to your business. And people, we know the average person is on their phone for 4 hours a day. That's just the average screen time for an adult person, 4 hours a day. And that time is not spent in email or it's not spent looking at websites. It's spent on native social apps, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So you've got people, your customers, your potential customers are staring at their phone for 4 hours a day, waiting, just scrolling, just doom scrolling infinitely through TikTok or Instagram and waiting to see your brand pop up in their feed. And those tools that they give you to target people are really, really powerful. You can, if you know who your audience is, who your valuable audience is that's going to spend money with you, you can make sure that your content gets in front of those people. So if there's a practical tip as it pertains to the marketing channels and this whole idea on the previous slide of content ads versus boosted posts and whatnot, I would encourage you guys to learn how to do that, and then maybe learn how to get a little more advanced and do A/B tests and really look at your metrics.
And that's all great, and that's why we're teaching you some of these things. There's middle funnel and lower funnel marketing, things that you don't necessarily need. You know, an advertising or marketing agency is going to do for you. If you don't have the time, we'll be more than happy to do it for you. But if you do, you know, you learn some of these tools, you can save yourself a little bit of money. You know, if you research, you know, and learn how to do some of these things. There's resources again. So let's land this bird. We've got about 8.5 minutes. So lower funnel marketing. So we're driving them down. Awareness, interest. Now we want to convert them. So now this is where we're at the point of purchase. So and a number, it depends on the type of business that you're doing. Again, if you've got a website and somewhere to send people to, and SEO and SEM can be your best friend. These are search engines. So SEM, you know, essentially means paid search. When an SEO is how Google scores your website, according to that at paid search, is how high on that list you will be. If you're doing it right, you'll be at the top of the list. So that's essentially what SEO and SEM is in terms of lower funnel marketing. Let's give you another example that y'all can relate to. Let's talk about HEB. Here, everything is better. What is it right now? It's crawfish season. Right? Love crawfish. But guess what they doing? They doing 3 things. They attracting you, engaging you, they convert you. Let me show you how that works. When you first walk into the store or up to the store, at 100 feet out, there's a huge display. Crawfish here, fish market, whatever. Showing you all the things. So you already know it's crawfish season. It's like a bus during back to school season. It says it without having to say it. So they're attracting you from 100 feet. Then they engage with you as you get closer. So there's display materials, things that you can take home. You got the lawn chairs, you got the ingredients and everything, I mean, that helps put it, together. Then when you walk up on the display, at 3 feet, there's an offer. Hey, all this together, save $3. Now they got you. You see what I'm saying? So they're attracting you here. Aha, you get here, let me make you interested. Get here, let me make you buy. That's all marketing is. So we just gave you an in-store example. Go ahead.
I bet you I got emails about crawfish and HEB when I get on my because you rich.
So they hear us. So on that sheet, you will see something when we talk about the lower funnel marketing, we target. So we want you to read that and understand the importance of retargeting. So anything I mean that you say, trust me, Siri heard it, Google heard it, Facebook heard it. And it takes 6 times for you to see something for you to commit it to memory. So retargeting should be a part of your marketing mix. So we're not gonna go into it today, but it's in there.
So if I hear, crawfish 10 times, when I buy crawfish, eventually.
If you're already predisposed. You're a propensity for crawfish. You're not a target, it's not gonna matter. That's why understanding your target is important. So deliver that message at the right time. So, not to go through this question, that type of thing, I mean, but you get, essentially what we're talking about in terms of lower funnel marketing and when you do it and where it's important. After you've already made them aware, after you've engaged on this, I got them over the bang. What's that offer? Close that deal. So ultimately, last thing, you gotta measure success. So if you want to measure it right now, we suggest, that you learn, a few tools that allow you to know whether or not your marketing efforts are successful. We just list it out. A few of them, across the funnel, so awareness. That can be cost per impression. An impression is just how many people saw it. What does it cost you to make 1,000 people see it? Or it can be reach and frequency. So again, how often are they seeing it? How many people are seeing it? Engagement. What's about followers, click-through rate, likes, all that type of stuff. To see who's really, having conversation, around your brand. That's where tools like social listening, which is cheap, can help purchase. Again, this is about session director. So once you're on the site, it's staying there, where they're going, that type of thing. So you can measure these things if you invest in Google Analytics. Google Analytics is your best friend for your website. So then you got direct and indirect, things, that type of thing. Again, over here, can you see Google Analytics and performance? You measure some of the more touchy-feely, type stuff. If you don't have the money, then truly, measure direct, impact. If you got a media budget, of $1,000 a month, it's small, indirect. Big money, direct. So time is everything. Let's throw it one time. So from a timing standpoint, good marketers incorporate day part, seasonality, time of week, time of month, into what they're doing and that type of thing. So does anybody have a business? Right now, where you sell, most of your products, one day of the week, during a certain time of the year. What's your peak season? What's your down season?
Peak season is September to January.
So September to January, she already knows. She's got to go. She probably needs a marketing strategy, that optimizes the peaks, builds the valleys. So you want to construct the plan, with tactics and that type of thing that leverages your product, your service portfolio at those times to engagement with your audience to make you a profitable business. So, but that's it. So it's that simple. I don't want you guys to make this stuff rocket science. All of you are marketers. All of you are salespersons. So whether it's in your marriage, whether it's with the kids, you have to understand their target audience, understand what's driving them and motivating them. Whether you explain the college process, in the recruiting process, the dating process, or any process. So that's marketing. So the only thing that works makes it work is understanding your target audience and your brand. What's your personality? So we said 90% of person's behavior is driven by emotion. That's the word we want you to remember today. So it's most about how you make people feel. The driving the action. So that's it.
I may have missed something, but okay, so what do we do with these sheets?
I want you to, yes, the sheets. I want you to take those. I want you to assess your own businesses. That's your homework. I want you to answer those questions. And we try to distill it down for you in ways that you can understand. So we like, hey, the last 10 people who walked in your store, what did they look like? What did they purchase? So just helping you think through some things that help you identify, your target audience. So what were they interested in? What's the most popular thing on your menu? What are they ordering? Why? Are they similar? Can you bucketize and group them into 2 or 3 different segments? If you can. So now you got dollars that can work harder for you because they're working toward a certain group of people who are already predisposed and interested in your category or product or service. Does that make sense? That's marketing and branding. Questions?
Yes, so why blue and red and the red one?
Well, when we came on board with Sage, there was already an established color palette, which was based around blue. We incorporated red primarily for, to be another complementary contrast color. I'd like to say there was some emotional driver behind the red and the blue. There really isn't. What having a red and blue color palette allows us to do is signal a sense of urgency if we want to with red, or like on the cover of this particular brochure, help you over kind of discomfort. Blue tends to be a comforting color. We chose strong versions, so they're not pastel, they're not screen colors, they're not tints. They're very strong versions of blue and red, and that was very intentional because we want Sage to stand out. We want Sage to feel bold, and we want our marketing materials to feel very confident. And that reinforces how we speak about it.
And this is what he said. He said, nothing about the way he says, I want him to make Sage feel about how I want to make it. You know, if a customer view, I want to look at this brand that was strong. So we chose blue. That was bold. So we chose red and we stopped white because it's clean. So if you think about Sage, even how we even chose the name, what does Sage mean? Why?
Wise.
Prudent, intelligent. As in Sage advice, which is what we offer. So again, our story matches our brand. So all we had to do from that standpoint was create a narrative, you know, to house and segment, you know, the service offering and package it in a way where it was understandable and just connected those dots. Again, integrated. So the two words I want y'all to know for. Y'all know the difference between brand and marketing. I want you to know emotion. I want you to know integrated. Those are things that we move to the table, out of today as you think about, you know, how to deliver that right message, to the right audience, at the right time, in the right place. So, you know, that's marketing. I mean, simply in a nutshell, but it is anchored in a strong brand foundation. So if we don't have a strong brand foundation, we would strongly urge you to consider when the time and the money is right, investing, you know, in that, because it's the only thing, you know, about your business that is sustainable and unique and home, if that makes sense. Woo!
See, I thought say the spice that you put in dress all the time, they give that little something. So like, if you got a good recipe, but you don't have that right seasoning. Season to make your product take off. So it could be wise. I think I can get old school say in my life, right? So I've got some things to tell you guys. We're still gonna get out of here on time. All right. All right. So people on Zoom, don't leave me just yet. First off, let's give them another round of applause. Last one, y'all, I'm tired of these speaker series for a minute, you know what I'm saying? But I said we cannot go out without taking, we've been talking about all kinds of things this past year. But if you can do all of those things, if you can't tell people how great your product is, what good it is. Okay, so when I thought of bringing in some of the best, I knew these guys were going to be it. And so they came in out of the kindness of their heart, put this together, probably spent a lot of time and effort and money on when they could have been working with some paying clients to come out here and do this for us. So I just want to tell you guys, thank you.
Thank you.
If you take great marketing now, hopefully you'll find this is not just the total contribution, that there was a little something in there for each of you guys. All right. I like to say, hopefully it fits the branding that you portrayed to me. And so tell me how I did. I'm figuring out what you guys may like. Okay. So just on behalf of all of us, some people are small token to tell you how much I appreciate you. All right. Thank you. Right. Now there's more. You guys came in on the end of the speaker series, but I don't want you to think. How many of you guys, it's your first time coming to one of our speaker series here at Dallas College? Raise your hands. Okay, you guys have missed out on a lot. Normally I spend the last few minutes talking about who's coming up and who's coming up. This is it. It's a wrap. But we've had tax strategy. We've had budget or bust. We've had tools and resources. We've had all kinds of things, whether you're in catering or trucking or the beauty industry. We've had a lot. You didn't miss out. Don't forget QuickBooks. So you guys, there's going to, the same way you register for this, which was the Linktree /speaker series, there are a bunch of resources there. There is every single presentation that we've had since last June is available for you guys to go back and view and to see the presentation. So it's Linktree/speaker series. But remember, Linktree has a dot or a period in the word tree. It's TR.EE. So Linktree/speaker series, you didn't miss a thing. Go back and check it out. Once I get the final version of theirs, I will be uploading the recording, hey Zoom, and I'll be recording this handout, not the handout, but the presentation. Okay, so you guys will have that available for you. But there are some things that aren't on there that I need to tell you about. One of them, and I'm gonna tell you guys missed out on a lot with this being the last day. Because we've been doing, Dallas College has been having activities for small business owners all year long in anticipation of this new co-working space or event space that's across the street. But I don't want you to miss out, all right? I'm gonna add another link to that speaker series page that's gonna say DC Small Biz. I want you to click it. It's gonna take you to some of the programs that have been there, like the free QuickBooks class and some other things. But there is one program that's gonna stay active. It's called the Community Navigator Program. The Community Navigator Program, if you've never heard of it, is an opportunity for you to come in, you take an assessment, they say, hey, based on what you told me, this is the advice, this is the help you need for your business. So you know what? I'm gonna match you with the one-on-one advisor, or I'm gonna put you in this class, or I'm gonna try to get you with this. It'll help meet you wherever you are. Can anybody use that? Okay, and one of the neat things about it, they even go as far as having something called a pitch competition. Y'all ever heard of a pitch competition?
Yeah, all right.
Lady in the orange, on her phone. You know, you're not paying attention. You act like you know what a pitch competition is. Do you know what a pitch competition is? Tell me what a pitch competition is.
A pitch competition is when you're given a specified amount of time to present a elevator pitch of your business, what your data is right now, and where you're trying to go should you win the grant funds or funds in the pitch competition.
And they said all this stuff is fake. I think they trying to get me. Does anybody ever win those things? Kind of like Shark Tank. But you think anybody ever wins those things? They said they do. You know anybody that won? You know that won a pitch competition. Oh, you won a pitch competition. But I bet she did all that work. What they give you, $20? How much, ma'am? $10,000. Okay. So they are real, and Dallas College does have things to be able to help you out, but you kind of got to go look for them. You got to know. And you guys came on the end. We're going to try to get these things started again, but as you know, with grants, they end, you have to renew them, etc. So I'm going to add on to that speaker series Linktree. I'm going to add on one called DC Small Biz. Go and look for the Community Navigator Program. All right, give me a minute to do it. All right, but I will put that on there for you guys. All right, that's number one. I told you all this stuff is going to be here. That's number two. I want to tell you about something else. And this isn't going to fit everybody. It may not fit most of it. But have you guys ever heard of Goldman Sachs? Yeah. All right. So what you mean? Yeah, what you know about Goldman Sachs? That's who used to financial pacing. Goldman Sachs has a lot of things. A lot of people in this room are actually affiliated with Goldman Sachs. And they've got different levels. And I'm probably going to mess this up, but I know somebody will have my back and jump in. Okay. So there's one program called Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses. All right. And they have a portion that's based out of Dallas College to be able to help entrepreneurs or small business owners go to the next level by providing them with a free business education. It's like a 16-week program. There's a lot of opportunities for partnerships, and industry-leading experts come in and pour into you. But it's got some requirements, all right? And so this is for people who may be a little more seasoned in their business. But look up Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses. And if you don't meet the requirements, make it a goal to meet the requirements. But in the meantime, I was gonna keep going on that. I'm on. All right, but in the meantime, Black women, I'm not allowed to pick what you are, okay? You get to however you identify. I don't know if that's gonna work on the application, okay? But Goldman Sachs has a program called 1 Million Black Women, okay? And they're giving away, it's a smaller version. There's actually a comedian. It's one of my clients and a former speaker sent it to me the other day. And she's like, you just told us about this. The lady was like, you get a 10-week business education. You get flew out to New York. I thought that was hilarious. To have some in-person things. And it's an online course to help you with your business education. It's called Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women. Okay. There's also one for Black businesses. So go on the Goldman Sachs page and look Because one of these has an application deadline of April the 21st, so it's soon. So if that applies for you, there's one for nonprofits. Like, I want you to get really, really, really familiar with Goldman Sachs, because one day I want you guys to be able to go to that Goldman Sachs 10,000 small businesses. I attended cohort 20, and this gentleman over here attended in cohort 14. Okay, and they've been pouring into us. And you notice, like he said, at first his business was struggling. Remember, he told you that he was trying to figure it out, but they helped us take our businesses to the next level. All right, so I'm gonna pause and see if this gentleman has anything he wants to add. I'm pretty sure I butchered this, but I don't get paid for this. So. Okay, but I need you guys to go Google it. If you misspell it, it's not sack like paper bag sack, but the computer will fix it. Okay, but I need you guys to go find that, because there's money and there's free education to be had. Y'all good with that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, couple more things, and I promise I'm gonna let you go. Everybody always asks for my information. I am January with Oxygen. All right, it's called Oxygen because I say, hey, sometimes you need a breath of fresh air. Let me breathe life into your situation. So if you've got a small business that needs something, I'm a small business strategic consultant, which means I help get you on the right track. But let me tell you the difference between myself and Dallas College. How much did I tell you that the community navigator programs were at Dallas College? They're right, I'm not. So start there. Okay, you see that, are you ready? Come see me. My information is on that speaker series page. Lastly, who gonna eat all this food? I tried to take y'all's things from you and put them in the trash. Y'all, oh, I'm taking this with me. I have made for every person, because there's enough left, for everybody to go back and grab a plate. I put the cookie, the roll, a bread man, and a toothpick. Okay, back there for you. So everybody can go through, grab one more plate as you exit out the door. Please take the food with you. All right, that being said, I'm gonna shut off Zoom, and you guys can do whatever you want as long as y'all out of here by 8. Right. Bye, everyone. Thank you. All right, Zoom. If you need anything, reach out via the link tree. I really appreciate you guys for listening in the whole time. I hope we didn't ignore you. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed evening. Bye-bye.